In this video, I'm going to show you how to respond and get around the "I'm not interested" sales objection. And this is a really difficult objection to deal with, and it comes up a lot. The first thing you need to become aware of is that you do not need to say something that makes them interested. You do not need to say something that changes them from not interested to interested. Every time you talk to a prospect, you always have two goals. You always operate with an ultimate goal, which is to close the sale, to sell your product, to get a new customer. But you also have an immediate goal, which is closing the prospect on the next step of your sales process. Our natural instinct is to focus primarily on the ultimate goal when we talk to prospects. For example, if we're at the very beginning of the sales process and we're cold calling the prospect, even if you have many steps you need to go through, you're still talking in a way where you're focused on your ultimate goal. And you do that by saying stuff that to where you're trying to sell the product or validate that the prospect wants or needs what you sell. But the reality is that there's another goal you can focus on, which is just trying to close the prospect on the next step on talking more in the form of an appointment or a meeting. When you face the objection of "I'm not interested," your natural instinct is to focus on your ultimate goal. And that leads you to trying to overcome the objection. You feel like you have to say something to make them interested. But if you resist that natural instinct and you keep in the front of your mind that I'm not trying to close the sale and I don't have to overcome this objection, you can instead stay laser focused on the next step, which is simply establishing the conversation. And here's the really cool thing. If you're focused on the prospect not being interested and you're trying to make them interested, the fact that they're not interested is a valid reason to stop right there. But if you're focused on selling the conversation, it's actually not a valid reason to stop talking. So with that clarity, what we can do is we can focus more on the next step. And that's what I'm going to show you here today is I'm going to show you how to respond in a way where you focus more on keeping the conversation going. Now, since we don't have to overcome the objection, what I want you to do is to deflect the objection. We don't need to change them to interested. We just need to bounce off their point that they're not interested at this particular moment and keep the conversation going. Now, I'm going to show you real objection responses that you can copy and you can use, and these are going to be filled in with an example product. I'm going to use my product for these example objection responses, and the product we're going to use is the Smart Sales System, which is what we sell here. What I've done is I've gone through our sales message brainstorming process for my own product, and that led to these talking points. I'm not going to explain this process to you here in this video, but I'll include a link in the description if you want to go through this process for the product or service that you sell. But each of those steps gives us a set of bullet points, and each of those sets of bullet points can be viewed as building blocks. And you can mix and match those building blocks to create a lot of different scripts. And what the really cool thing is I'm going to give you a few objection responses that you can immediately incorporate. And the reality is that I'm not giving you additional stuff that you have to remember or memorize, because the deflection objection responses just deflect back to the cold call script. So all you're doing is remembering when these different objections come up, where to bounce to in your existing script that you're already using. For example, if you get the "I'm not interested" objection, you can deflect back to your pain questions. So the prospect says, "I'm not interested." Okay, yeah, I understand, but if I could ask you real quick, how do you feel about the amount of leads your reps are currently generating? Now, what I'm doing there is I'm deflecting away from their point that they're not interested. I'm not addressing it. I'm not trying to make them interested. The first goal of this tactic is to simply keep the conversation going. Then I'm asking these questions, and most likely the prospect is going to answer these questions, and very rarely would they put their foot down and say, "Listen, I said I'm not interested." So most likely you're going to get a response, and then you have a few options. You can ask a follow-up question based on the prospect's response. You can ask a different question, or if you get a really good answer from your pain question, you could use that as a justification for talking more and a justification for closing for the next step in your sales process. In the same way that you can use pain questions, you could also deflect to your current state question. So the prospect says, "I'm not interested." "Hey, I understand, but if I could ask you real quick, are you guys using any type of sales methodology today?" And you could also deflect to common pain points. So the prospect says, "I'm not interested." "Hey, I understand. Some businesses that we work with, they often have challenges that it's difficult to get reps to generate new business, and they have too many underperforming reps. Are you concerned about either of those areas?" So what I did there is I used the building blocks from our sales message to create 3 different objection responses that keep the conversation going when you face I'm not interested. So I hope that gives you some ideas of what you can do to become more prepared for this objection response. If you like what I went through here today, everything I showed you here today is actually part of a full objection handling methodology, and you can watch a full video that goes through the full methodology and talks about a lot of other objections. I'll put a link to this video in the description as well. But I just want to point out one thing. I don't know whether you noticed it or not, but by creating those sets of talking points, such as pain questions, pain points, current state questions, we're able to do a lot of different things with those sets of bullet points, such as create a cold call script, create objection responses. We can create email messages, voicemails, and whatnot. That concept of repurposing those talking points in a lot of different places is actually how Sales Scripter, our software product, works, is that you can go through a sales message brainstorming process here. And when you do this in the software then uses your building blocks to create a library of documents, cold call scripts, and email templates. And your cold call script gets loaded up with all of those talking points and puts all those in the right spot. So over here is your cold call script where you can have your pain questions that you can ask whether you're dealing with an objection or not. But if you face objections, here are all your objections that you have set up over here. Like, for example, I'm not interested. And then here are your responses right in the middle. And it's one thing to have good objection responses prepared and to have a plan for how to respond to I'm not interested and other objections. But another key is being able to remember those and know exactly what to say in really fast cold calls when those objections come up. And the key to that is practicing. And we've created a tool to help you with that called Sales Simulator. Sales Simulator uses like a Siri or an Alexa type of technology to provide an AI that you can practice with. So you can practice 3 different scenarios, such as calling prospects, calling gatekeepers, and you can also do an objections drill. So we're here to talk about I'm not interested in sales objections. So just to show you what this looks like real quick, if I click the objections drill,
I am not interested.
Hey, I understand. If I could ask you real quick, are you guys using any type of sales script?
Not right now. Just send me your information.
Sure, I would be happy to do that. If I could ask you real quick, are you guys using any type of sales methodology?
Yes, we use Miller Industries. We are locked in a contract.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Honestly, we're just looking to schedule a meeting. Are you available next Tuesday?
Sounds good.
And that is it for this video. Hopefully you got a tip or 2 that will help you to improve your results. If you want more tips or more information, the best place to go is salescripter.com. Thanks for being here, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.